All right, we are rolling. Greetings, greetings, Leo. That's you guys over here. This is Tarot Illumination with your mini love and relationship report for September 2018. A lot of you have been here before. You know the routine. Watch your sun, moon, and rising, especially if they're all different, and then reinterpret everything to suit yourself. Turn it into your own movie. Watch, do the cross-watching for your significant others. We're going to use the Tarot Illumination Crucible spread. It's on the understanding that there's you, a significant other, chosen preferably, as opposed to random, and you have created what you could call a relationship. So there's you, a significant other, and this third entity, the relationship itself. Okay, so that's why we use the crucible spread. The crucible would be the structure that is created in which the relationship is allowed to live itself, so you can intimate and separate as we all do in relationship. Before we get into it, hold on, let's have a look. I want to do a Tarot Illumination Astro Doodle here. This is just a generic thing I made for everybody. All I did was I just scanned for the whole month, and I cherry picked things that stuck in, that really lingered. And what I noticed is that coming out of August, yes, it was very choppy with all the eclipses, heavy duty retrogrades, 6 planets retrograde in the middle of August. Now it's loosening up. A lot of the personal planets are moving fluidly. So you can feel as though there's some relief moving forward, gentler, easier, smoother energy. Fine. But please understand there's still a lot of very challenging rip currents going on underneath, okay? So don't be fooled. Enjoy the sweetness, but be very, very careful. This Mars axis, Mars and Aquarius, Capricorn axis here is still very strong, and the Taurus Scorpio axis is still very strong. We have these ongoing, loose. I'm being very loose with the astrology here. Please forgive me, but it's effectively like that there are certain points where there's this massive grand cross through the month on top of the Leo energy here. So you'll see what we talk about in a moment. I want to pin out some dates here for you. September the 7th. Hold on. September the 7th. Please just be aware. How are you feeling? The moon is going through Leo, so you might feel very sensitive at that time about yourself. Okay. Remember, we're still dealing with the Leo Aquarius North Node eclipses. We're all supposed to be our most shiny, brightest, amazing, wonderful, romantic, courageous selves, okay? But it's under a lot of pressure. There's a tremendous pressure to do that, and a lot of that is happening in the context of relationship, okay? So September the 12th onwards, for pretty much the whole month, we've got the Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio on and off T-square here, which is putting a tremendous amount of pressure on you, the Leo, okay, from all sides. Going up to September 20th, we have the moon in Aquarius opposing you, and we have the Mars in Aquarius opposing you. So that could be a difficult energy to handle. Like you might feel as though you're receiving unwarranted, undeserved, combative type of energies that you don't know how to deal with. So it can be a little unnerving. I just wanted to point these dates out, so please mark your calendar. Those are the trigger points as far as I can tell. This one, of course, is extending pretty much through the whole month. Like I said, with this is pretty much through the whole month. So you can look at this. If you think of yourself here, Leo, in that area, you're under a lot of pressure from here, and indirectly from here, and directly from here. That's a lot of pressure, Leo, okay? So you're like dealing with the aftershocks of the eclipses, and it's not going away anytime soon, not for September, okay? Maintain your dignity, your self-respect, of course, throughout all of this. So cards are well shuffled in advance. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. I know you understand. Please forgive me. This is all they can handle on this little channel. So, if things get really awkward and you need to check in, get a proper reading, you know where to come, tarotlumination.com, and we'll sort it out. But for now, let's just dig in. Let's have a look what's coming up for everybody here. So I would invite you also to bring in your invisible friends. That's what we do here at Tarot Illumination. A lot of what I think of as angelic presence is here, and we're just going to share all that. So you might as well bring yours in, make it a group effort. It works so much better that way. All right? Cards are shuffled, okay? Bless these cards. Bless this deck. Bless you, dear Leo. Bless this reading. Bless the whole channel. Bless Tarot Illumination. Bless all the cables and cameras and the platform and everything. Okay, here we go. This would be the energy that you'd be radiating here. Oh, by the way, if you're single, you can still watch this, but you have to allow for the laws of attraction and action. In other words, what are you attracting back to you in terms of relationship type energy? Like, what if someone were to show up? Okay, so that would be what you're radiating here, love energy. If you think of it as like a pulse, as a signal, same with them, they will be radiating a pulse and a signal of some kind. Over here, deep inside of you, what are you radiating? Deep inside of the other, what are they radiating? And at the core, the relationship itself. So I'm hoping you can see that this is a crucible structure here. You, the other, and the relationship, okay? This is not a couples reading. It's all about you, Leo, and we're allowing for the significant other and for the relationship. Over here, like prospects and momentum of the energy of the relationship. Over here, circumstantial energy, what's around you, what are we going to do with that, okay? It's like it's out there. That's why I call it the weather. So you have the Three of Cups over here. So to me, this is an indication that somewhere in your sweet life, you're doing something right, whatever that is, and it needs to be shared and celebrated with your people, your kind, your own tribe. Even with the Tarot Illumination Love Tribe, if you want to write in and tell me how it's all working for you, we can do that. So with the Three of Cups here, I think it's also an indication to be aware of how much love does flow in your life, in your world. You might not see it in ways that are obvious. It might be very abundant, but I think here the whole point of the Three of Cups here is kind of a gentle reminder. Please, please, Leo, we know you've been dealing with all the eclipses and it's been turbulent and kind of shocking and just up and down, up and down. But please don't forget that in some ways you are very emblematic of love in terms of the most romantic kind, sharing that openly, gregariously, generously with others. And don't ever forget that. Allow that love energy, that Leo love light to shine regardless, okay? No matter how much stress you're under, okay? Please share that light with us, please. Okay, what are you radiating here? Well, with the King of Swords, there's obviously no messing around. So with the King of Swords energy, to me, it's very evident that you're absolutely determined for things to work out. What does that mean exactly? That's a whole other thing. We're not sure at this point. But the King of Swords energy, forget the gender. To me, it looks like you're radiating the energy of you're damned if you're going to let all these eclipses and whatever awful things have been happening. You're not going to let that ruin your life. You're going to prevail one way somehow or other. And it's the truth that will set you free here. It requires being very, very bold in terms of your honesty and how you are relating openly, truthfully to the rest of the world. And it kind of, in some ways, puts you on the spot. In other words, okay, you want me to shine? If Tarot Illumination, you're telling me, Leo, that I have to be my own most awesome self. Okay, well, then I'm going to do that. But please understand that I'm not going to shy away from what is not acceptable, okay? I don't like being messed around. I don't like messing around with people. I'm pretty straightforward. I am loving. I am loved. Don't mess with that. Don't mess with me, okay? Seriously, it's not worth it, okay? That's what I'm feeling is going on here. And the Leo energy needs to be respected, needs to be understood, needs to be shared. And it looks like you're determined to do that, and forcefully if necessary. I'm talking about force of the heart, love energy. I'm not talking about, force, like physical, exactly. Over here, let's have a look. What are they radiating? Okay, well, with the Hermit energy, things might be moving in such a way that I think this represents what happens when you're under siege, like right now. If you want to look at it this way, okay, Leo, if you want to, put yourself here. Pretend this is all the Leo stuff, and you're trapped into this web, okay? These energies are very, very challenging for you right now. It's almost like being hogtied, where if those are your ankles, that would be one wrist, another wrist, and that would be your neck up here. And it's all being stretched and pulled to seeing what you can take. How much pressure can you take? Uh, are you going to crack? Are you going to maintain your strength and integrity? It's almost like the heavens are trying to find out what is your weak point. What is the weakest link in your chain, Leo, that you need to know for yourself so that you can understand what does and does not work in relationship. It's a harsh way to learn things, but in some ways you could say that you've set yourself up for this and I can handle it. It's no problem. I will prevail. I know that. I'd rather not have to do this, but if this is how it is, then so be it. And in so doing, you might be in a situation with a relationship dynamic where you're kind of on your own because it's almost like they they probably can't handle it. In some ways, they probably can't handle what you're dealing with, and you might actually see them as the opponent. Okay, like deeply separating from you in such a way. Like for example, if you equate the Hermit energy up here with the Mars in Aquarius, where this energy is, you know, throughout the month opposing you, more or less opposing you. It feels like they are withdrawing from you, where they are withdrawn. They have separated and become very individuated, trying to figure out things in the way that need to be figured out for themselves, where it could lead you to feel very like like neglected or abandoned or rejected in some way. Of course, I don't think it's intentional to hurt. It's just circumstantial because this is what would happen under these kind of energies anyway. And that would be not much appreciated, not much understood, because, you know, in some ways, for Leo, it's simple, like, show me you love me, you know, I'm always there, like I'm radiant, and so, you know, let's share, okay? So if you're feeling exactly the opposite, like as though someone is exactly the opposite of being there for you in a loving relationship and they're off on their own thing, now is that because you've been like forcing a situation, trying to force outcomes the way you think they should be, or is it because they are on their own path trying to figure this out for themselves, how they stand with you, in case your energy is very dominant and radiant? In other words, the more pressure you are enduring, more and more, like the more pressure that you are enduring from here, from here, from here, and from the T square itself onto you from there, does that mean you're responding by being more like resistant, forceful, dominant in such a ways that, you know, this is not acceptable to me. I do not put up with this kind of BS. No one is going to mess with me like that. In other words, it's almost like you're taking it personally, as though these planets are deliberately trying to hurt you, as though a significant one is deliberately trying to undermine you, or is not respecting you, or loving you, or understanding you. And you would be like reacting to it as though it's their fault. Whereas I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think it's circumstantial. I think it's important to recognize the love that is there and celebrate that and enjoy that, as opposed to, like, say, focusing on all the problems and all the stressors. Because this is so stressful, it might take up your complete field of vision to the point where you've completely forgotten about the love altogether. And that becomes a problem. And then you're dealing with the absence of love, and that just makes things worse. Over here, what are you rating at the heart level? Okay, with the Five of Wands, at the heart level, let's be more honest. Let's just come down to earth, admit that you're another human being just like the rest of us, no better, no worse. And that what's happening is that you're really being put through your paces here. You're really being stretched and pushed to the limit where, yeah, in some ways you're going to learn what you need to learn. It's just that it might be an extremely unpleasant, undignified, unwelcome lesson that you would rather not have, because this is normally how you like to be. Very regal, respected, understood. Okay? So if that's not what's happening, and instead at the heart level you feel you're being pushed to these limits where you're having to literally, like, you know, prove yourself against all odds, that's a problem. It's just like, where is the love here? You know, it's not very romantic. What are they radiating at the core? Okay, well, they've got a little card called the Ten of Swords here. Look at that. You can freak out officially if you want to. Yeah, you can officially freak out. But this is an indication. It's almost like they're in a state of separation because they have to be. It's like they have to protect and defend themselves because they can't take certain aspects of the relationship anymore. Now, whether this is to do with themselves, in other words, they are falling to pieces, they are the weak link in the chain, maybe they are crushed by a certain oppressiveness. If this energy is so strong and it's coming out of you so strongly to the point where it's oppressive, then that can be defeating towards the relationship and suffocating whatever love there is that does exist. And in so doing, their heart would be saying, enough is enough. I can't take it anymore. This has to stop. I can no longer be a pincushion for you. I will not accept all this pain and suffering that you might think that I deserve, but I don't really deserve it. I'm just being me. I'm literally just being me, but frankly, I feel quite isolated, and I'm trying to have to figure out what I have to figure out on my own because I'm certainly not getting it from you. This is what it's like for me deep inside, and I'm sick of it. I don't need this anymore. Thank you very much. I'm done with this. Now, does that translate into I'm done with you? That's a whole other thing. This looks to me like one of these situations like, okay, you've loved, you've been loving, you've been loved, been loving. The eclipse has come along and kerblam. Where exactly is the love? Okay, so you're still dealing with it. You've got 6 months to go to the next Leo Aquarius eclipse, and that's the last one. Okay, but so for the next 6 months, you might be dealing with aftershock after aftershock after aftershock, and how that ripples through your love life to the point where it's almost like there's two people over here in a very like reluctant position, almost like begrudging themselves and each other, like two people standing up, facing each other, arms crossed with a very unpleasant look on their face, or not even looking at each other, arms crossed, facing away, you know, just being like their own worst selves, just making things worse than they have to be. But there's no choice here. It's just, remember, this is not a couples reading. It's all about you, Leo, in the context of a relationship. So in your own like spiritual evolution and growth that you are experiencing in the context of love and relationship, you might be getting stretched out to the absolute limits of your abilities and endurance to the point where this is unacceptable. It's just like you're starting to take it personally as though the relationship and the other party is ganging up on you because they can't take it anymore. So it might be feeling like, oh, someone has to be blamed, and it's certainly not me. It must be them. So that, again, that doesn't help. We're going back to this again. We need to be reminded that we need to focus on what works. The love is what works. You know, this is getting deeply stuck into what does not work. What about the relationship itself? Okay, another 10 here, 10 of Wands. This is an indication that you're kind of reaching a break point where the relationship is saying, you know what, guys? You know what, guys? You know what, guys? Enough is enough is enough. There's something seriously out of whack here. It's not acceptable. Okay, let's just admit it. Okay, do the most loving thing. Stop fighting about it. Stop posturing and figuring out and, you know, blaming and naming and whatever. Understand that love flows and things only work when the love is flowing. So let's accept that it's not flowing right now. There's something seriously out of whack. The relationship can't go on like this the way it is right now. This is time to wake up and understand and like depersonalize things. It's okay. Like let's come back to the table. Like let's deliberately, you know, accept that we're having an extremely hard time right now. Focus on the love that we have still, you know, to be able to even have a relationship where you can talk about these things, and the love that we had, and figure out what exactly did we go wrong. Where did we go wrong? How do we get into this mess where it's just piled up into basically a train wreck? I don't want to spoil everything for us all Leos. I'm sure some of you Leos are having an amazing time. Please reinterpret that to work for you that way somehow. But it looks to me that you're getting a reflection back to you from a significant other that enough is enough, and this cannot go on like it is anymore. Okay? So what about the prospects over here? To me, it looks like there's a lot at stake. It looks like everything is at stake here now, because what's being exposed in the context of this relationship is the love that is there, or the love that was there, and the love that how things could be or should be if the love energy was allowed to flow. But that has to be done by choice, by invocation. At the moment, it looks like everything has turned into essentially dysfunction between yourself and another, between another and yourself, where the other party doesn't really have a choice because they can't take it anymore. Your energy might be so activated right now in terms of protect and defend. Like if you're here and you're feeling attacked by on all sides, then you might be using everything in your power to protect and defend yourself, which could be experienced by the significant other, represented by the Aquarian energy over here, as very hostile and combative and personal and comparative, not good. So what happens is you expose the relationship as being seriously flawed, damaged, and broken in some ways. And what needs to happen is that it needs to be broken open. It's almost like somehow or other, at some point, my feeling is you have to crack and just admit exactly what's going on. Open the heart, open the heart again, allow the energy to flow so that love can flow again. So it's learning going forward. What is it exactly that defines love for you now going forward after these eclipses, integrating the next 6 months into the next eclipse? What is it that defines love for the significant other? What is your description, your understanding? What is theirs? Ask questions, get into the debate, do what has to be done, because this is not sustainable as it is. This is what's at stake here. It takes you to the point where if you can figure it out, there might be something worth salvaging in terms of like the happy family, the happy home, being loving, being loved. Perhaps if there's children involved, or mortgages, or family, or nieces, nephews, aunts, and uncles, and it's all being dragged into the mess. Please understand, in some ways it's worth it. It's worth going in. It's worth allowing like the ego to crack. In other words, basically saying, you know what? It's okay. I admit it. I can't take the pressure anymore. I'm cracking up. Please, please tell me, what the heck am I doing wrong? And the other party could be like, well, I was going to ask you the same thing because I thought I was getting blamed for everything that's going wrong. And then you realize, my God, that's the definition of dysfunction. I'm blaming you for everything. You're blaming me for everything. No wonder we end up like this. No wonder this is what is coming starkly into focus about what's not working and what could be and what should be working. It's just that we're learning these things in a very stressful way. I think that these energies here are basically like squeezing, 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 tightening, tightening, tightening until you crack, Leo, until the relationship cracks, until the other party cracks, until everything cracks, and you open up a gateway so that love can flow again, some way, somehow. Maybe it's just a text, maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's an email, maybe it's a little bit of body language or something, or just a little romantic, sentimental kiss where, even if it's begrudging, like if you need a third party perspective at terraillumination.com, and we can find a way to bring parties together again. If there is salvation here, like, okay, you have to face each other now. You have to face each other now. Terra Illumination says so. You have to give each other a big hug and a kiss. I don't really want to. They're the one who messed up. I don't really want to. Look at me. I'm all completely ruined. They messed me up. Why would I give them a hug and a kiss? Well, why would I give them? See, do you see where we are, Terra Illumination? You see it's all their fault? You see why I'm so alone out here? Because it's all their fault. And Terra Illumination says, excuse me, guys. What are we doing here? This is what's at stake. Look, 10 of Cups, all of that. Do something. Okay. Oh, it's my reading, so I guess I'll have to do it. Okay. That wasn't so bad. I guess I could. Come on, you do it now. Okay. Start kissing and making up, because that's what's going to have to happen here. And that might feel like you're losing ego, because losing Leo, because it feels like the ego is surrendering here. But that's what I'm suggesting is the appropriate thing to do. Surrender to love. Allow the healing power of love to fill your life from up above. Okay? and don't take all this stuff personally. Okay? All right. Thanks so much, Leo. Let me put this over here, and then you can reinterpret however you want. Okay? All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.